Hello everyone. So in the last class you have studied about sound and how does the sound is produced. So by doing many activities. But how does the sound produced by humans? Did we did any activity regarding this? No. Just you have tried with some objects, that is by using glass cups, metals, rubber string, etc. But we have not studied about how does the sound produced by humans. So today in this topic we will study about the sound produced by humans. Just you do one thing, speak loudly for a while or sing a song or buzz like a bee. I think you know how the bee buzzes whenever it is flying, right? So whenever you are doing this, that means when you are speaking loudly or you are singing a song or buzzing like a bee, put your hand on your throat as shown in this figure. What do you feel? So do you feel any vibrations? Yes, we feel some vibration. Then where does the vibration is produced in our throat? That is, in humans the sound is produced by the voice box or the larynx. So you can see here how does it looks. So put your fingers on the throat and find a hard bump. Can you see here? So you can see a hard bump, and then just find a hard bump that seems to move when you swallow. So when whatever you swallow, what it will do, just it will move up and down, right? So this is the hard bump. So this part of the body is known as the voice box. So it is at the upper end of the windpipe. So where is the windpipe? For example, here. So this voice box or the larynx, it is present at the upper end of the windpipe. So what is that windpipe? What is the function of windpipe? So windpipe, it carries the air into the lungs, right? Okay, then. So this voice box or larynx, it has two vocal cords, as you can see in this picture. So here 1 and 2. How many vocal cords? It has two vocal cords. So here 1 and 2. So two vocal cords are stretched across the voice box. So this is the voice box and here we have two vocal cords. So two vocal cords are stretched across the voice box or larynx in such a way that it leaves a narrow slit. What it will do? It leaves a narrow slit between them for the passage of air. That means we can find a narrow slit in between these two vocal cords. Why? Because it allows the air to pass through it. Now, when the lungs force the air through this slit, I will repeat again, when the lungs force air through this slit, the vocal cords vibrate, producing sound. Because we studied sound is produced by vibration in the human throat, that is in the voice box or larynx of the human. The sound is produced by the vibration of these vocal cords, and then the muscles attached to the vocal cords can make the cords tight or loose. See here, it is attached to some muscles. So these muscles, what they will do, they will or they can make the cords tight or loose. So when the vocal cords are tight and thin, so for example, if you take any rubber band, you just stretch it, what it becomes? It becomes tight and thin. So when the vocal cords are tight and thin, the type or quality of voice is different from that of when they are loose and thick, right? So now let us see how the vocal cords function. That means just now we said whenever the lungs forces the air through this slit, the vocal cords, they shows vibration. So due to this vibration we produce sound. But we have to prove that, or we have to learn how does they produce sound. So for that one activity we have. So this is activity 13.6. So just take two rubber strips of the same size. So place these two pieces one above the other and stretch them tight. By holding at the two ends, stretch them tight. Now blow air through the gap between them. As the air blows through the stretched rubber strips, a sound is produced. So you can also take a piece of paper. Here, as you can see in this picture, you can also take a piece of paper with a narrow slit and hold it between your fingers like this. Now blow through the slit and listen to the sound. So by doing this activity, what we can say? We can say that our vocal cords produce sound in a similar manner because our vocal cord structure is similar, right, to this paper strip. So in this way, that means by the vibration of the vocal cords, our larynx or voice box, it produces sound. Clear? So this is about how does the sound is produced by humans. Okay, then now we have a question. Whenever you are traveling from one place to another place, so either you will go by walk for short distance, or if it is a long distance, what you will use? You will use a cycle, that means a bicycle or a bike or car, or you will go by any other vehicles, right? But here the sound, how does the sound travels, or how does the sound propagates from one place to another place? So for that we have to ask some small question, that is, does the sound needs a medium for propagation? What is the question? Does the sound needs a medium for propagation? So we will find out that. So when you call up your friend who is standing at a distance, your friend is able to hear your voice, right? How does the sound propagate or travel to her or him? How? So for that we will do an activity. So the activity is very simple. Just you take a metal or glass tumbler like this. Make sure that it is dry, completely dry. So place a cell phone in it. I think you all have a cell phone in your home, right? And then ask your friend to give you a ring on this cell phone from another cell phone. So listen to the ring carefully. Can you hear the sound? Yes, we can hear the sound of that ringing. Now surround the rim. Surround the rim. So where is the rim? So this is the rim. So surround the rim of the tumbler with your hands as shown in this picture. Put your mouth on the opening between your hands. Indicate to your friend to give you a ring again. Why? Because we are testing the sound. Does the sound needs any medium for its propagation, that means to travel? So the friend, he gives a ring to the mobile again. Listen to the ring while sucking air from the tumbler. You have to suck the air from the tumbler. How? Like whenever you suck the juice by using a straw, right? Do you remember or do you feel how you will suck the juice by using a straw? Yes, in that way, by holding this tumbler at the rim, at its rim, what you do, you have to just suck the air. So as and when you suck the air, just listen to the sound. Now, does the sound become fainter as you suck air? Yes. Whenever you suck air, the sound, it becomes fainter. That means gradually the sound decreases. If we compare with the open tumbler, whenever you kept the cell phone in the open tumbler, it becomes fainter. Then remove the tumbler from your mouth. Does the sound become loud again? Yeah, it becomes loud. Can you think of an explanation? Is it possible that the decreasing amount of air in the tumbler had something to do with decreasing loudness of the ring? Yeah. So whenever the air is present, we can hear more sound. But whenever we suck the air, that means the air is removed, partially the air is removed from the tumbler, then the loudness, it becomes fainter. So indeed, if you had been able to suck all the air, whenever you suck it by using your mouth, we cannot remove the air completely. But if you had been able to suck all the air in the tumbler, you will not listen any sound. Actually, sound needs a medium to travel. So by this we can say that what does the sound need to travel? Sound need air to travel. So when air has been removed completely from a vessel, it is said that there is a vacuum. What? There is a vacuum. So in the vacuum, sound does not travels. Clear? The sound, it cannot travel through a vacuum. So we did that here. Whenever the air is present, you heard sound. But whenever you remove air by sucking it, the vacuum is created. So whenever the vacuum is created, the sound becomes fainter, right? So by this activity, we can prove that sound needs a material medium for its propagation, or it needs a material medium for its travel. So in the vacuum, sound do not, or it cannot travel. So this is in air. Then what about water and then metals? Does the sound travels in water and in metals? Have you seen that anywhere? Yes or no? Now I will give you an example. You know, dolphins. How do these dolphins or whales, they communicate each other inside the water? So for that example, we will do an activity which shows that sound can also travel in water and also in solids. So this is activity number 13.8. So in this activity, we are going to prove that sound also travels in water or liquids. So just you take a bucket or a bathtub, fill it with clean water. So take a small bell in one hand, shake this bell inside the water to produce sound. Make sure that the bell does not touch the body of the bucket or the tub. Place your ear gently on the water surface. Now, can you hear the sound of the bell? Yes, we can hear the sound of the bell. So, does it indicate that sound can travel through liquids? Yes. So, since we can hear the sound of the bell which is ringing inside the water, so for that reason we can say that sound also travels in water. So initially we learned sound travels in air. Now we have learned that sound travels in water. Then let us find out if the sound can travel through solids also. So again for that we will do activity. So this is activity number 13.9. So this activity proves that sound travels in solids. Just here, you take a meter scale or a long metal rod and hold its one end to your ear. Ask your friend to gently scratch or tap at the other end of the scale. Now what we did, just we took a meter scale or a long metal rod and we hold its one end to our ear, and we have asked our friend to gently scratch or tap at the other end of the scale. Now, can you hear the sound of the scratching? Yes, you can hear sound of the scratching clearly. Then ask your friends around you if they were able to hear the same sound. Yes, they also can hear the same sound. So you can also perform this activity by placing your ear at one end of a long wooden or metallic table like this. See, this is also an example for metal. What we have here instead of metal, here we are using wood, that is a solid. So now if you place your ear at one end of the table, and if your friend, if he scratches or if he taps the other end of the table, easily you can hear the sound at other end, right? So all these examples or all these activities shows that sound travels in solid. Now we find that sound can travel through wood or metal. In fact, sound can travel through any solids. So you can perform interesting activities to show that sound can also travel through strings. String. So for that example, have you ever made a toy telephone like this? So how? Just we need to take a paper cups, two paper cups, and then in between these two paper cups you just stretch a string, either a cotton thread or a nylon thread or a wire, copper wire. So here we can say it as a toy telephone. So now tell one of your friend to speak from one end and you just hear from the other end. Can you say that sound can travel through strings? Yes, you can hear sound. Why? Because of vibration of the string. Clear? So for that reason we can say that sound can travel through strings. We learned so far that vibrating objects produce sound and it is carried in all direction in a medium. The medium could be a gas or a liquid or a solid, right? In the first activity what we learned, sound travels through air. In the second activity we learned sound can also travel in water. In the third activities we learned that sound can travel through solids, right? So we have found all this thing. So this is about how does the sound is produced and how does the sound is traveled or how it is propagated. Now anyway sound is propagated to your ears, but how do we hear sound through our ears? Because without ears can you hear sound? No. So now we have ears to hear the sound. Then how do we hear the sound with the help of our ears? So if you look at into the shape of our ear, so as you can see in this picture, the shape of the outer part of the ear is like a funnel. So when sound enters it, it travels down a canal. It travels down a canal at the end of which there is a thin membrane. Here, can you see it? Yeah, there is a thin membrane, that is a stretched membrane. It is called eardrum. See here, what do we call? We call it as an eardrum. It performs an important function. Now, to learn the function of this eardrum, again we have to do an activity. So the activity looks like this. This is activity 13.10. So what we have to do? So just take a plastic or tin can, cut its end, stretch a piece of rubber balloon across one end of the can and fasten it with a rubber band. Now put your 4 or 5 grains of dry cereal on the stretched rubber. Now ask your friend to speak loudly or to speak hooray hooray from the open end. What do you observe? So we can observe that the grains, they jumps up and down. Why? Because whenever we speak, the sound enters into this tumbler. So whenever it enters into this tin can, we can find vibration of this stretched membrane or stretched rubber band or stretched balloon. So for that reason it shows vibration. So due to the vibration of this stretched membrane, we can see the cereals, they jumps up and down. So like this our eardrum also functions. So whenever the air enters into this canal and when it hits the eardrum, our eardrum, it shows vibration. So due to the vibration of the eardrum, the sound, it forms vibrations. So sound vibrations make the eardrum vibrate. The eardrum sends vibration to the inner ear. From there the signal goes to the brain. Where it goes to the brain. So that is how we hear the sound. So this is about how does the sound is traveled and what is the material medium for its propagation, and how do we hear sound by our ear. In the next class, we will learn about few terms which are related to sound.